I gotta try to fish it back in every once in a while. So we'll get a Transformer and a GI Joe, and I'll try to come up with some other kind of fucking black hole or some shit to bring us back into the.
Oh, fucking black hole! Please don't. I'd rather watch another Ewok movie.
I'd rather watch another.
Transformers!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of the 80s, this movie was a heartbreaker for those of us who were born in the 70s and lived in the 80s collecting toys and watching toys, playing with toys and watching toy cartoons. This is Transformers the movie, 1986 sci-fi action, has an hour 25-minute running time, starring the late great Orson Welles, Peter Cullen, Frank Welker, Leonard Nimoy, Judd Nelson, and Eric Idle, and Chris Latta. I can't say enough about him. Starscream, Cobra Commander, that guy was the best. Rest in peace. He died very young. 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 62% on Rotten Tomatoes, 1 out of 5 on Common Sense, whatever that is. 89% of Google users like this movie. The heroic Autobots defend their homeworld Cybertron from the evil Decepticons. Both factions are seething with anger, and that hatred has blinded them to the hideous menace headed their way. And I don't know who wrote that. That so has nothing to do with what this. Like,
it
who
sounds
wrote
like
that?
A better movie than we watched, but whatever, dude. Like I still love this one, but I was like, damn, I want to see that Transformers. What's that one?
Yeah, I don't know. That's Google. That's what Google gave me for it. They didn't spend any fucking time on Cybertron, whatsoever. They were all over the cosmos. Yeah, right? They're all over the cosmos, not spending too much time on Cybertron. All right, let's go right into the controversy. This movie was the harbinger. They were supposed to be bringing out the G.I. Joe movie shortly after this one, and so many children within the first 15 minutes of this movie launching at the theater just burst into tears and left the theaters crying with their moms because Optimus Prime, the ultimate good guy, gets killed right in the beginning of the movie. And it seemed like the reverence for these characters that they built and the kids fell in love with, they just threw them out because they wanted to throw out, they weren't making those toys anymore, and this is supposed to be a toy commercial, so they brought in a bunch of new robots and thought the kids would just roll with that. Kids didn't roll with that too much, and shortly afterwards, I want to say by the end of the next season of the actual Transformers show, they brought back Optimus Prime from the dead, and they had lots of really cool episodes like Starscream's Ghost. So if you guys haven't watched the show and never saw the ones where Starscream came back as a ghost or anything like that, they're good shows. But that's for another day. This day, we're talking about Optimus Prime. They have the MacGuffin of the MacGuffin device, which is the matrix of leadership. Supposed to be given to Ultra Magnus, and they have a slippery soap moment, and Hot Rod actually accidentally touches it, and he ends up turning into Rodimus Prime down the road.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, they change Megatron into Galvatron. Bunch of interesting things. I think that if they don't, there's probably better ways to launch into new toys than there was with doing this. And I think that they had a year launch with these toys from this movie, and then they kind of went back with it because they had all these space age toys, Cars, Cup, and Wheelie, and those ones RC, Scourge, and the Sweeps. They were Transformers, but people didn't want a futuristic looking car to transform. They wanted a car that they saw on the streets to be able to transform. They're supposed to be in disguise. And if you're some robot Jeep,
listen, you're missing the point. It took place in 2005, okay? That's when the movie took place. In the year 2005, cars look like that. I'm just letting you know. That's all I'm saying.
I saw the little caption for it, and this isn't the one we need to watch. We need to watch an early one. Wasn't it the 80s? Because it says 2005. And when I read the whole thing, I was like, oh shit, it's supposed to take place in 2005. It's like,
yeah, dude, that.
Here we go, huh?
And people are fishing with Autobots off the cliff. You know what I mean? Like that's the future that we missed. You know that somewhere in the multiverse we went this way and that was this way. It's just what happened.
This was our generation's Jetsons failure. You know.
Jetsons. Was there a Jetsons movie or something?
No, what I'm saying is the Jetsons promised us like
flying cars,
and we never got any of that. And this movie promised that we'd have Transformers, and we didn't get any of that either. So it's like
they said I'd have a Transformer exosuit. That's what I wanted.
It's nothing but a continuous series of failure to deliver. So,
dude, but you got to admit, like they loaded the fucking voice actors up with this movie. I mean, Orson Welles, dude, fucking Leonard Nimoy, dude, like Judd Nelson, hello, okay, fucking. It's like, dude, I'm telling you.
Josh, I said that's the guy from Breakfast Club, and he's like looking at me, and he's like, oh yeah. Josh made an interesting point about the opening credits.
Yeah, it's insulting that people like Peter Cullen and Frank Welker and who was the one that did Stars? I'm sorry?
Chris Lauda.
Yeah. So the fact that those three guys weren't headlining before the others is ridiculous. They're the ones that built the franchise.
Right, but
these other guys are all hangers-on.
They greenlit it because of those guys that they got to sign on. It was just like Nicholson signing up for Batman or Brando signing up for Superman. You know what I mean? Like that.
Don Johnson.
Yeah,
Don Johnson was Flint.
G.I. Joe.
Not Flint. He was Falcon in the G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah, like that was the key.
Burgess Meredith was Globulus.
I still remember that Oliver and Company movie, and they all they did was talk about that Billy Joel was the dog. Like that was the whole thing. Billy Joel is the dog in Oliver and Company, and I was like, "Who's Billy Joel?" And I had to listen to his music and shit. I was like, "Oh, I know that guy."
Yeah, I was sad for it because TV show that basically.
Josh, why were you sad for it?
Yeah, he froze on me.
Sorry, I was just saying that the fact that the guys that built the show, the ones that did the voice acting for the early seasons, I was sad that they didn't get prime coverage. I mean, they weren't even named until the end credits. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember when I first was able to get it on like VHS, because I did get it on VHS. I was a little bit maybe junior high school, just out of high school or whatever. Was still affected by this movie. Emotional damage. Anyways, when I had rewatched it, you're a kid, you're not paying attention to who the voice actors are or whatever. But when I watched it this last time, and then every time I watch it and I see that they parade those names through there, it's just like a foreboding that no Casey Kasem, he's gonna die.
Right.
Well, this is the first time I've seen it all the way through. So when I would be at festivals, AJ's a big Transformer guy, and we would do pulling, or he would have it playing, but I never got to like watch it. I mean, I got to see the opening or the ending, or when Megatron turns to Galvatron. Like, I've only seen parts of it. I've never actually seen it all the way through. So, yeah, this this wasn't designed for girls. And
there's RC. There's RC.
But like, I feel like it's one of those things that I'm missing out because I didn't really watch the cartoon growing up either. So I feel like that this is like one of those. It's just a continuation of the TV series, and because I never saw this, I don't know. Like, I know the characters. Like, I do. I knew who RC was and Rodimus and all that stuff, and I knew on sight I can name them, but I didn't know anything really about them. So I didn't have like an emotional like attachment to any of them. Except for, like Optimus, who was probably the only Transformer that my brother would let me play with when I was... He kept all the other ones. No, I took Galvatron from him, because he had Megatron and Galvatron, and I took Galvatron, so that'd be cooler. But, yeah, so I feel like I'm missing a core like piece to really appreciate it on the level that you do, Nate, or maybe Josh does, because I didn't watch and I didn't grow up with those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
my dad didn't want to take us. He didn't want to see cartoons, so my mom took me and my brother, the closest to my age, to see this movie. And then at the end of it, we're just like, I was like, I was having like those sloppy cry. I was like, like one of those, man. It was brutal. And then we were in the car riding home. I remember we were in our van. They had no seatbelts in the back, so we're just like crouching in the back of this. The '80s, man. We're crouched, standing up, surfing in the back of this van, trying to grab onto something as we're going home as a 10-year-old kid. And we're talking about how I know how they're going to bring them back. They're going to bring them all back. They're going to take them back to that Junkion planet where they just rebuilt.
Yeah, it's that wax, and it's like, oh, he's alive.
Right. Just all you got to do is bring a ShamWow and wipe his chest, and it'll be fucking great.
All right,
I gotta say that I haven't probably seen this movie since the '80s. It's been a long time because, like you said, emotional damage. This was a hard watch, not because I was emotionally compromised, but because I was like falling asleep watching this thing. It was really rough, really rough. What it felt like to me was that the writers came up with a series of scenes that they thought would be cool or funny or, somewhat engaging. And then they did like a really shitty plot line to tie these like vignettes together. And it was just, and not to mention that, during those days, they were still using the old Hanna-Barbera technique of like repeat backgrounds and repeat There's like a scene where the Decepticons are running and you see Soundwave run by in a line like 4 times. And I'm like, this is trash. How did this get past the editing? I mean, they
had a time frame. They had to get it done by a certain time.
And it shows. It shows. It's like there are parts like the everything about it is like campy and doesn't make any kind of sense. There's like the Autobots have like 2 secret bases on these moons plus a city on Earth, but altogether there's like 15 Autobots and half of them die. So like at the end when they're like, oh, until we're all one, we've had this great victory. There's like 8 dudes that they're like mostly dead, and I'm like this is just, and the music is so disjointed. It's like this really upbeat, like, yeah, we're gonna kick some ass, and like they're like beating each other to death, right? And I'm just like this, like the whole thing just feels like terribly disjointed. There are little things that I appreciate because I remember, but this movie was rough. It was so rough.
Wow.
Man.
No Goonie effect for you, huh?
No. I should have left it in the archive where I had fondness for it. Ugh.
All right, let me. I gave him my drink. Let me clean my mouth because I'm about to suck the hell out of this movie's dick. Because let me start.
My alcoholic drink.
Let me tell you this is the honest to God truth. My son, when he was a kid, okay, he didn't grow up with Transformers. I showed him the Michael Bay movies. That's what I showed him. That's what got him into it, Michael Bay. Okay, so I told him, I go, you haven't lived till you've seen Transformers the cartoon. I showed him this movie without seeing any of the other ones. So he went into this just knowing the movies, right? Loves it. He holds this in high regards. Like this is one of our movies that we watch together. Like when we're bored, we pop in Transformers the movie. I've been on sets of movies, and I know what you're saying, and about the. I think they saw certain scenes in their head. You know what I mean? Like they had ideas like, okay, this is going to happen and stuff like that. But I'm not lying to you. I have used the end of this movie as examples for films where I'm going like, you guys, you have to fucking play it like this. Down to like where he's fighting Galvatron and he grabs it, and right when he pulls it, like I'm talking about music beats. Like I'm telling you this, I literally get my hair stand up on my arm to this day. Tears come out my eyes. when you hear, "You got the touch," and he breaks the fucking thing and he grabs it and he's opening it up and he's like, "Arise, Rodimus," and he's like, "Optimus," and he's like, "Ah," and he's kicking his ass and he points at me. "This is the end of the road, Galvatron," and fucks him up and throws him out the window. And I'm literally
going, he threw him through a wall, which was ridiculous.
Because he's powerful now. Okay?
Why didn't Optimus?
He had the touch.
That's right. It was.
He had the power.
You know what I'm saying? And then the part that gets me every time, where I'm just like, "Fucking, that's how you set it up, dude." And it's when Cup and them are running as what's his nuts? What's the name of the planet? The planet.
Galvatron.
Not Galvatron. Unicron. As Unicron's blowing up and they're fucking running out of it, dude. And this is where our generation was amazing at making music videos. Like, that was what we were. So we knew when the tempo would need to be up or the beat of the song would need to be at a certain pace to make it look that good. And again, it's just like you said, Hanna-Barbera, just him moving like this. That's all he's doing is this. But the beat hits up. You never bend, you never break. And fucking Autobot, you hear him say it, dude? I'm like, "Oh, fuck, he did it. He's now in charge." And then you hear Cup, "I always knew you had it in you." And he fucking transforms and they take off. I said, "Fuck yeah, dude." That's why they had Judd Nelson be his voice. Because at the end of the movie, they wanted everyone to do the Breakfast Club like that and shit, dude. That's what happened. That was what happened. And then the best, like, there's great setups. Like, I would show people. So Cup, right? Cup is always saying, Grimlock's always like, "Tell me the story, about the rabbits," and and then they get to the other planet and he's like, "Oh, this reminds me of this and this reminds me of that." And when he shows up to Unicron, he goes, "Doesn't this remind you of something?" He goes, "I've never seen anything like this." I'm like, God damn, that's good writing right there. They set it up, they paste it, and bada bing, bada boom right there. That's just fucking beautiful, I'm telling you. And then when you hear the song, the beginning when they're fishing, you know what I'm saying? And he looks up and he said, "Oh, the Decepticons are coming," and they came down, and then fucking Optimus is standing there. "One shall stand, one shall fall." And then Megatron and him have the battle of a lifetime right there. And then Hot Rod jumps in front of the way and fucks shit up. And you're like, "Fuck you, Hot Rod, you suck. You killed Optimus Prime." But then he wins you back. Okay, he brings you back in because he gets down there and he stands with Cup and they got the hair metal playing in the background. "Nothing's gonna stand in our way." And they're spinning around, they pop out and they're kicking everyone's asses right there. Ladies and gentlemen, stop what you're doing. Stop this show. Go watch the movie. Come back. Listen to Fuzzy talk about it because these guys are having downers about it, dude. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's wrong with them. I think they weren't hugged enough as a child because everyone cries when Optimus dies and when Hot Rod stands up and says, "You got the touch." Love this song. Is so awesome and touched everyone's heart. That Boogie Nights Mark Wahlberg is singing that song in the fucking recording. They were like, "What 80s song? What great 80s song can he use cover?" You got the touch. Boom. Boogie, forget the weenie scene. It's all about that scene right there.
I don't know if we saw that movie.
You didn't see Boogie Nights?
No. The movie you were just talking about, not Boogie Nights, Transformers.
Let me tell you, because you guys are focusing on the wrong part. You know what I'm saying? It was all about that scene. This movie just pumps me up, dude. I literally told my kid, I was like, "Get your Transformers and start playing. You never bend, you never break."
So my thing is that as a kid, I always resented Hot Rod for getting Optimus killed, and I never accepted him being the next Prime. I never got over it.
Time.
Yeah,
this is my Transformers shelf right here. I have all of them.
Like my kid.
I don't have Hot Rod. I never dignified him by buying him. I can see Ratchet, Ironhide.
I've bought every new version that they put out of Hot Rod to my kid because I love Hot Rod and he loves Optimus. So I'll be like, "Hey man, Merry Christmas," and I give it to him. He opens it up and he goes, "Hot Rod." Fuck you.
Yeah.
Give me that. I'll keep Hot Rod then, but like Optimus, he's all about it and shit. So trust me, you guys sound just like my child. Hot Rod is the man, dude. You know what I'm saying? Not the Michael Bay Hot Rod. I'm talking about this Hot Rod, baby. He's the one. Judd Nelson makes you want to just like that, dude. I'm telling you.
All right,
dude,
let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's do these buckets, Josh. What do you got?
My guy, when I grew up as a kid, even with the devastating scene of Optimus dying, and even I liked Starscream as a kid, and watching him just get fucking vaporized, it was hard to watch as a kid. And not only that, but I'm surprised you guys didn't bring up like the scene when they're inside Unicron and like Transformers are getting dropped into like Unicron's like molten belly, and they're just like melting in there. This movie.
No, we didn't. This was the first cartoon too. They said shit when fucking Spike goes. I forgot about that whole scene. Me and him were watching it, and when the planet's getting eaten, holy shit! I was like, "What? Who said that?" I was like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah. No, it's a brutal, like, violent movie for kids to watch. But even that, I had fonder memories of this movie than watching it again. I thought that it was going to be a pick-me-up, and I was really struggling to stay awake through most of that film. I was looking forward to watching it, and it was a pretty big letdown. Just so many issues with this movie. For nostalgia's sake, I think I'm going to give it like a 4 out of 10. But I doubt I'm going to go back and watch it anytime soon.
Well, that saddens my heart.
It hurts me.
Me too. This movie used to be in my list, in my mind. It used to be the shit, and now it's just shit.
Oh.
Oh.
Damn. All right, Liz, what do you got?
Well, I didn't really have any fond childhood memories of this movie, so I'm going in rough there. It's like, I don't know. It's a fun movie. I'm gonna give it a 5, a little bit better than Josh. I can see though where, being in the comic, business and toys and stuff like that, working for fans, I can see where the influence is. What?
No, go ahead.
Where the influence is and how this has, raised generations of collectors and the mythology of Transformers. But it doesn't hit for me like it does for you. And I'm sure, I hate to say it, I'm sure the G.I. Joe movie is going to be the same. I mean, I know of the G.I. Joe people, but I don't have that core like seed that was grown in there for me, so
careful.
Sorry.
All right, I'm gonna let Fuzz make up the difference. This movie, it's a. I like it more now than I did when I first saw it, because it's just like, they killed Optimus. I had one of those sloppy snot cries, brutal sloppy snot cries, but. Transformers, they're still making those movies today. They still got, I don't think they've ever stopped. They have Beast Wars and shows, and there's another thing about Transformers we'll talk about on Talking Shit, because I want Josh to get a piece of it. But this was a good one for me. I give it a solid 8. Give it a solid 8. There was mistakes in editing and different things, like if I was going to do it if I was going to fuzz out on it, talk about how I felt about it, or nostalgia or whatever, I'd probably be throwing in extra credit points and all that stuff. But fortunately, we have credit here. We got Fuzzy here to give all the extra credits, so I can just give honest scores. So
you goddamn right.
8.
I'm gonna pitch this bad boy. Here we go. You're pitching it. 26. That's what we're giving this one. 26, dude. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why it's a 26, because let alone the imperfections of the script in certain points, the animation. What Fuzzy loves the most, that heart's in there. This movie has molded our generation into understanding about death when we were like 5 years old because of this movie. This was the old Yeller to our parents You know what I mean? Like when their parents watched Old Yeller and they saw the dog get shot. When we saw Optimus go down like that, I was telling my son, I literally remember sitting in the theater listening to everyone go like that, like just trying to hold it back, and every parent in a panic like this. My grandma just leaned over at me. He's coming back. Don't worry. He's coming back. He's coming back. Like that's what she kept telling me. They always come back. They always come back. And then when he became Rodimus, and I think this was one of the first movies I ever saw where I was literally lost. Like, and I think that's because, again, like, you know, we went in there expecting to see a movie about Optimus and everyone else, you know what I mean? And then the first 15 minutes, he's fucking dead. And you're just like, oh my God, what the heck am I going to be watching for the rest of this movie? So, and I liked it. I liked what I got. Like, I really enjoyed it. And I rewatched it again for the umpteenth time with my child. And, like, his face lit up when I told him today. He goes, what movies do you have? Because I always watch them the day we record, so I have them fresh in my head. And he goes, what do we got to watch? And I told him the Indian movie for Curry. And he just looked at me and goes, what's that? I go, I don't know. We'll watch that. And he goes, and we're going to watch the Transformers movie. So, can we wait till lunchtime? Like, can we watch it at lunch? Like, he was just pumped, dude. And he sat down. He was sitting there, and he was like, literally telling me, like, who do you think would win? What's the planet's name? Ego and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
yeah. He's all. Do you think Ego would fight you? I mean, literally, like, it was just. This is our movie. This is our jam. So for family love, it gets a 20, and then for freaking being one of the best soundtracks ever, it gets a 5. An extra 5 points, that's 25. And because it still makes Fuzzy's hair on his arm stand up, it gets that extra little point at 26 points, ladies and gentlemen. There's a rhyme to my reasons, ladies and gents. And that is how I got to that number. So drop what you're doing. Rewatch that movie, ladies and gentlemen. Grab your little fuzzster next to them. Hug them and say, this is the movie that made me realize how life is.
All right, can't be said better. Take us out, Fuzzy.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching it, and stay tuned because I think it's Fuzzy's turn to pick a movie, and I have a revenge plate that I'm going to be handing out to these people. I cannot wait for you guys. Like, you think this was a bad review from them? Ooh, wait till you see what I got available.
He forgets I'm a woman and a redhead. I have no soul. So as deep as you guys are going to go on revenge,
this movie will find it. This movie will find that little piece of it, and you're just going to be like, it killed it. It killed every hope. Everything is there. I cannot wait. So, ladies and gentlemen, have some love, some peace, and that Popeye's grease, ladies and gents. We out.